All right, all right. What's up, folks? Let's get into this topic of conversation. And this is dealing with the Terence Crawford incident following his hometown parade after he put a shellacking, uh, uh, masterclass tutoring to pound for pound, face of boxing, super middleweight champion in Canelo Alvarez. Just put a dominating performance on Canelo, the same way that he put one on Earl Spence. And once he returns home, he has a parade to celebrate the achievement of the only guy achieving anything out of Nebraska, let alone it being Omaha. But following that celebration later in the night, I guess he may have been out with a couple of friends. They're driving through the city. It's stated by the officer who pulled them over that they were out there driving recklessly. Now, the possibilities are definitely there, or maybe there's a traffic violation, just given any cause for a by the book ass officer to making a stop. But there's also a way in which people handle things, and I've been watching a few people cover this shit, and me having to turn away because I can't stand the victimization Olympics, crybaby Olympics, and just emotional behaviors out of black dudes. Motherfuckers cry too much. But in this situation and looking at what the officer reported about seeing guns on the floorboard or a gun on the floorboard of the vehicle, yeah, it makes him elevate the severity of the traffic stop. And traffic stops by officers, just through the history of shit, they have to treat these because sometimes a traffic stop can turn into where they become very violent and sometimes fatal for an officer and also the person engaged in the traffic stop. So they have to take these type of things with precaution, especially if you see a weapon on the floor. But is Omaha a place to where you have a right to be armed? They have registered weapons, people can carry them. But when the officer sees that, an officer has to take it to a point to where you like, hey, keep your hands up, step out this vehicle, we'll sort shit out. And you treat it that. You don't go, hey man, what the fuck you fucking with me, man? I'm a black man. Oh, being a little resistant, motherfucker. I'm gonna make it home tonight. I don't know what kind of shit you on. If you on some kind of dope, what the fuck is you on? If everything's on the up and up, just listen to these commands, walk your retarded ass out. Say, a lot of y'all don't know how to handle them situations. Terrence, handle that shit the right way. You ain't got time to go back and forth and all this shit like a lot of you other emotional retards. And that's the problem that affects this nation, is the retardation of the people in it, especially adults in it. But so he just goes through it. And the other smart thing inside the vehicle is the people pulling out their cameras and going live to record the situation just in case shit end up making some drastic type turns and shit. But you don't hear the officers really going off and get your ass out the car, da, 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 blah, blah, all this other little fucking escalating type shit. I didn't see any escalating the situation. I think they kept the situation very calm. De-escalation was there, all that other shit. So the officer have a win on that part. But now the other side of shit is the fact that we live in an era where this is a great era of change within law enforcement, and that being the fact that the pressures that have been put on officers because of what officers of the past, the real pieces of shit who are now probably retired, a lot of them have died off, who have committed some of the ultimate sins in what is supposed to be defined in law enforcement as protecting the serving. But also law enforcement has an even darker history than that. And it has a lot of black faces as the ones victimized by that shit. But so you have to where there's cameras now placed on officer squad vehicles and as well as on the officer. And I got a video because this opened me into another thought about how law enforcement goes about turning the soft hand on white suspects who are even more dangerous to them. And I guarantee none of y'all would guess this situation I'm going to pull up. I'll give you a hint. It's an officer getting his head blown off inside of the police department. So let's see if any of y'all figure that shit out before I get to it. And this is during the Trump presidency, but you never heard about it. So going back into this one. So Terrence in them, he exits out the vehicle. He has his weapon drawn on him. He's handcuffed. The officer has to kind of figure out the situation. But now where the officer may have made a mistake is the fact that his vehicle has recording on it that he doesn't have access to. The fact that before he initiates this stop with Terence Crawford, the cameras record what he saw that Terence was doing that gave him the right to even pull his vehicle over. The camera may record, because sometimes those cameras ain't always recording. Especially, he should have had his body cam on as soon as he initiated this traffic stop. And I think the cars do have audio. So the car may record what this officer is saying as he's pulling up to this vehicle. Whether or not before Terence even pulls over, has he already sent in dispatch, or does he have one of these police vehicles that have the license plate reader, which would have presented that this is Terence Crawford's vehicle if it's not a rental. If it is a registered car of the Terence Crawford, the officer would have had that information. Pretty sure nothing going on in Omaha. This dude being the only celebrity in the goddamn town outside of Warren Buffett and shit, that he knew exactly who the hell he's pulling over. And then the fact that, the weapon is drawn, his conduct, where his mental space is. Does this cop have a history of doing this type of shit? Does this officer has there's a contrast into the number of arrests he makes, number of traffic citations he makes, the number of complaints against him. And the one thing that comes from this shit is being that this video went viral. I'm not even sure if Terence and him filed a report about this shit, but the video went viral from it being uploaded and shit. And that's the way people have to handle these situations. You being harassed. Don't fucking get combative like you see a lot of the ignorant motherfuckers out here who handles situations with the police wrong and do everything to tuck their tail against motherfuckers who are very violent to them and put their lives in danger and threat. They tuck their tail. This is how ignorant, retarded motherfuckers is. Now, your way of handling this shit with officers is just go through the motions of this bullshit. Get out the car, listen to the commands, avoid your ass being blasted by these motherfuckers, and then them walking away from offing your stupid ass. Get out the vehicle, go through the arrest, go through the detainment, wherever the fuck it is. Following that shit, you file your damn report. You file your complaint. You do your follow-ups on that shit. You go back and you and check in your follow-up to ensure that you want to see where the investigation of this officer has gone and what actions are taken. If it's that bad, you get your lawyer. And also, while you're going through that shit, have that shit on the recording. You need to back your shit up in case you need to present this to the lawyer. And sometimes you got to fight to get the camera footage from them. But the fact that what has happened, and even the police chief, who now this officer puts him under scrutiny, is him stating that, he apologized, this and that, and the fact that he will be launching an investigation, internal affairs investigation, because there may be a situation leading with this damn officers. And you got to go through this shit. Ain't no thing you just firing this cop. These cops have these strong ass unions, but if this cop violated policy, he'll be gone. Because that situation could have turned bad. You knew who Terence was, but just because Terence is a celebrity doesn't mean that he gets, even though celebrities do get these privileges and these additional benefits and shit, but the fact the officer sees a gun out in his presence, they have to respond that way. And that's just the way you handle that, the conduct of a stop like that. So there's nothing wrong with that shit. But the fact you may know who this dude is, this cop jealous says this is a very rich, successful black dude, guy at the height of celebrity, one of the most noted people in all of Omaha, and as well as the whole goddamn state for that. So that could be where the cop may find himself in a little bit of hot water over that shit. But being the fact that, the cop seen a weapon on the floor, he had every right to do what he did. But now you go into what happened before this. Was Terence actually driving erratic? Did this officer pull up and know that this was Terence's vehicle and wanted to harass him on his day? Fuck with him. So you're going to see through all that shit. So I don't make nothing of it. I don't think it's that big of a fucking deal. It's not that big of a deal like that. But the officer, depending on his conduct, and this is where people have to have a greater understanding of even ownership of weapon, regardless if it's open carry. Even if it's an open carry motherfuckers blast at people. And I'm going to get into this white kid who blasts this cop inside of a police station because they refuse to handle this dude as a suspect and handle him like he can be dangerous. Oh man, this shit is cold. Watch, I'm bring this one up. I guarantee none of y'all can guess the shit because I don't see none of y'all in the chat writing the name of the person I'm talking about. But this one gonna fuck you up. And it goes back into what I'm gonna do after this live stream and talk about Caucasian American violence. Because we didn't have two major situations, one today and one last night, yesterday, with a fool doing drive-by off of a yacht. Motherfucker walking in the Mormon church, gunning people down and setting that shit on fire. Velocity Cuff says in the back of the paddy wagon, cuff locked locked on wrist, says seen my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. Says it was time to marry the game. Says and one said, yeah, I do. Says on the fight at the fight at 168 says it's over for Crawford, homie. And then that's my exact words. I thought he was gonna get knocked. Red Forest says, yo, what's popping? Says you took my wreck. What's the wreck? Are you talking about a wrench? No, I ain't take no wrench. You don't recognize a new ass channel. Mark Summers says, I don't cry for celebrity. He says having problems. Yeah, neither do I. Especially a guy out there doing his job. I ain't about to go into that fanboy. One thing about me, I'm not a fanboy of any of these fighters. Like a lot of these dudes who do YouTube that center around boxing. You don't see no fanboy shit over here from me. So I ain't about to cry about this traffic stop. I understand the way that police work is, and I understand the dangers of police work. And if a cop who is a cop that laps on shit, then they get bullets put in their fucking head. And this is what you're gonna see in this case I'm talking about. Velocity says, so you don't believe in police brutality, cuz? Says explain what happened to Philando Castro. Man, you talking in the wrong chat, homeboy. I know who the fuck you asking that question to. Talking about some police brutality. I ain't from no farm like the rest of you niggas. And then Mark Sumner says, OMG, says, I'm terrified of Caucasians. Says, they're so dangerous. Says, blacks are just singing kumbaya. But let's go into a Mark Summers looking white dude. Negative 9 says, Reggie the Coon says, on his knees for the daddy again. Man, Negative 9 ain't your mama. That's what your mama and daddy do. They interchangeably. Your mom pegs your daddy the hoe in the house. Nigga, that's why they raised you, fool. That's what you came from, the genetics of that kind of despicable motherfucking household. But let's get into this one. So here we go. Let's go into this situation of an officer who finds a white suspect that they're looking for on the campus of Texas Tech. See, none of y'all guessed it, so now you can do your Google research, or you may not. But this is one from an officer fucking up and failing to do his fucking job. So they go to pull this white kid, Hollis Daniels, however his name is, Hollis Daniels, Daniel Hollis, whatever it is. But let's go on. This is 2017, during the Trump administration, right? All right, let's get into it.
Got an officer down. He saw it in our briefing room. We don't know where the suspect
was. After that. So this cop gets gunned down inside of the police station's briefing room, and this white suspect is able to run up out of there. Peep this.
We have the missing pages.
The PD is not secure.
Roughly 19 hours before that deadly shooting, around 1 a.m. on October 9th, 2017.
Hey, what's going on, man?
The rich white kid pushing a BMW, all this shit. And then you ought to seen even the shit after this dude was recaptured. After they recaptured this motherfucker, how he back inside, I don't even think he handcuffed again. And getting to talk to his mommy. And mommy tell him, yo, you didn't do it, sonny. No, you didn't. WMS 702 says, I was just telling the homie, says this the other night. Says if you want to carry and get pulled over, says you run the risk of the police getting froggy. Says legal or not. Exactly, bro. Exactly, 702. Niggas just out here in this country stupid. And this is why I'm always talking about how dumb motherfuckers are. And why I be always right when I have conversations with motherfuckers. And I love saying I'm always right because I also get enjoyment of how upsetting it is when people hear me say that shit. I ain't about to lessen myself for you stupid motherfuckers. You better get your knowledge picked up. Like Cuz says, hey, Cuz says, explain what happened to Rodney King again. Man, you ask Rodney King to explain that shit. Oh, go to the cemetery and ask him. Don't talk about don't think no police brutality stuff. I know niggas that have been killed by the cops. Not from watching no goddamn TV, none of that other shit. So you better talk to one of these farming niggas who act clueless. But just say because niggas and Rodney King have been beat don't mean every cop done whooped his ass. Did every cop on the LAPD beat Rodney King ass? Or was it the 4 or 5 cops who went on trial for that shit that whooped his ass? And the fact that black motherfuckers don't participate in shit, they done brought a bunch of white people to the jury on that shit. So, nigga, y'all niggas be talking to the wrong motherfucker. That's why I'm always right around this motherfucker. Because I'm around too many black folks that listen themselves to being just stupid motherfuckers. And I don't like that shit. Black folks better wisen the fuck up, get your knowledge up.